And finally, question number 6. The significance of this visit to Africa. Sacred places. We have shown that the flight into Egypt and the residency of 4 years would have caused the Holy Family to have been constantly moving so as not to be detected. We have also looked at the possible route they may have taken. Although this sojourn in Egypt may not seem of much importance in Western Christianity today, however, in the East and within African Christianity in particular, this sojourn is not only remembered and celebrated, but is commemorated in over 20 locations, where churches, shrines and monasteries were built as sacred places to mark the actual locations that the Holy Family visited. So come, let us visit some of these sacred places. Now, this particular map of Israel and Egypt features many of the traditional towns the Holy Family is said to have visited during their 3-year stay in Egypt. Although time does not permit for us to visit all of these locations preserved for us within the Egyptian Coptic Christian tradition, however, let us travel along this ancient route so we can visit at least some of these most ancient, sacred places. We begin our journey in Bethlehem, Israel. The Holy Family travelled from Bethlehem to Gaza and from there to El Zaranik, some 37 kilometers west of El Arish. Then they continued their way along northern Sinai until they reached Farma, ancient Pelusium. From Farma they leave Sinai and enter the town of Tal Basta, ancient Bobatis, which is reputed to have been the first town in the Egyptian Delta region visited by the Holy Family. However, they were not well received here, so quickly moved on southward to Belbis, ancient Philippos. In Belbis, we had an example of the Mary tree around which the local citizens had arranged their cemetery. This tree was removed in 1850. In Belbis, Muslims commemorate the visit of the Holy Family in the Osman El Harish El Ansari Mosque. The Holy Family continued northward till they reached the town of Sebinitos, also known as Samanud. Here, the present church of Abu Nub was built on the ruins of an ancient church, which in turn was built on the site where the Holy Family stayed. The Holy Family travelled northward till they reached to a place where we find the present town of Saka. In this place, Yahshuah put his foot upon a stone, and the mark of his foot remained upon it. Therefore, the place became known as Bika Yesos, the footprint of Jesus. Travelling westwards, continuing their journey, they saw from afar the desert of Sketis, the Wadi al-Natron, and Jesus blessed it. The town nearest to the desert of Sketis is Terenuti, about 40 kilometers from the monastery of St. Macarius. The Holy Family crossed the river Nile until they reached the city of On, the biblical Beth Shams, Heliopolis, passing through Zaytun. Here, for several months from April 2nd, 1968, the Virgin Mary appeared for the multitudes upon her church there. Onward from Zaytun to Harat Zuwalia in the northeast district of Cairo. The Holy Family is said to have rested here. Jesus is said to have blessed the water of this well, and Mary and Joseph drank from it. This well is in the floor before the southern sanctuary of the lower church. The water is still used for healing. The Holy Family passed the fortress of Babylon and saw the pyramids of Giza. The Hanging Church is the most famous Coptic Christian church in Old Cairo. It was built in the 7th century, though an earlier church existed dating as early as the 3rd or 4th century. Continuing southwards, they reached Mahadi. Here they took a sailing boat. The name of the modern suburb, Mahadi, derives from the Arabic word which means the crossing point. The Church of the Blessed Virgin with its 3 cupolas marks the place of crossing. On towards the south, they crossed the Nile to the spot on the east bank of the river where the Monastery of the Virgin now stands upon Jabal el-Tahir, also known as the Bird Mountain. The Holy Family rested in a cave, which is now located inside the ancient church. Today, the cave isn't visible from the outside, but devotees and curious tourists can still see it, as it is now a crypt under the nave of the church. To see the cave, you can still descend down a tiny path into a partly lit chamber to the place where it is said the Holy Family lived. This is the crypt of the church where the family stayed. Do you see this little arch in the wall? Well, this is the place where it is believed that Yahshuah slept. Traveling through many towns along the Nile, they eventually reached the present-day town of Mia. Here they discovered a well and remained here for 6 months. The Church of the Blessed Virgin at Deir al-Muharraq marks this spot. It is thought to be the first church ever built in Egypt. At the very spot where al-Muharraq Monastery stands, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream and said,
"Arise, and take the young child and his mother, and go into the land of Israel, for they are dead which sought the young child's life."
I would never give the power to appall him. Run, come, crucify the dread.
On their return journey from al-Muharraq, the Holy Family passed through many towns and villages, some of which they had visited previously and others for the first time. Numerous churches and sacred sites are dotted along the Nile, marking this return journey. Although we know that they visited many places on their return to Israel, we unfortunately will only visit one, Mustarad. They had visited here before on entering the Delta region, and Yahshuah was first bathed and his clothes washed in Egypt here by his Blessed Mother. Therefore it is called Al-Mahama, which means the bathing place. Like other places that the Holy Family visited in Egypt during their stay, Mustarad also has its sacred places. In addition to the well they had used on their first visit, on their second visit they also caused a spring to gush from the earth which still flows forth today, accessed from the crypt of this church. From Al-Mahama, the Holy Family returned to Palestine along the same route they had used to come to Egypt, passing through Basta and then travelling on the caravan route from Egypt to Palestine along the Mediterranean coast.
And he arose and took the young child and his mother, and came into the land of Israel. But when he heard that Archelaus did reign in Judea in the room of his father Herod, he was afraid to go thither. Notwithstanding, being warned of God in a dream, he turned aside into the parts of Galilee. And he came and dwelt in a city called Nazareth, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophets, he shall be called a Nazarene.
Time, Lord, oh, time will tell.